IVM.
$100. That's all it takes to begin your journey with Bitcoin and Ethereum. No, really. With CoinSwitch, you can start investing in over 100 cryptocurrencies with just 100 rupees. On top of that, there are zero charges for deposits and withdrawals, so you can trade, buy, sell, however and whenever you want. All of this, plus their extremely intuitive interface, makes CoinSwitch the perfect app for beginners in the crypto space. But don't take my word for it. Just download CoinSwitch for free and try it out for yourself. If you'd like more information on cryptocurrencies, tune into A Show About Crypto with me, Rohan Joshi, my new adventure on IVM Podcasts. CoinSwitch, kuch to badlega.
Here's your smart fact of the day. So what is a holding company? A holding company is a company whose primary business is holding a controlling interest in the securities of other companies. So basically, a holding company does not produce any goods or services. Purpose is to own shares of other companies to form a corporate group. You have many examples of holding companies. And the latest one is Meta, which it was Facebook before, but now Facebook is now suddenly a company which is held by Meta. Let's figure this one out in Smarter with Sid's episode. Of course, the nature of a holding company depends upon which country it is in. So in the US, for example, 80% of stock in voting and value must be owned before tax consolidation benefits such as tax-free dividends can be claimed. Now, this means that no double booking of profits or dividends and all of that is allowed. So there are mechanisms developed by each country to make sure that people are not using this as just a way in which you can avoid taxation and stuff like that. So what is the use of a holding company then? Because a lot of times we hear on LinkedIn, on various newspapers, in the digital or the printed format that Facebook is pulling a fast one on the government by just changing a name and making a holding company to make sure that Facebook does not face a trial of monopoly. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? Now, for this, we have to understand what Google did too. Google also changed itself into Alphabet, and Alphabet then held Google's shares and perhaps will hold other shares of other companies that it starts. And a lot of people even then said that it was a way in which Google was managing not to be completely divvied up by regulation to make sure that it is not unfair competition and it is not running a monopolistic business. So both Google and Facebook now recently has been kind of accused of running its business and making this change into a holding company stuff only to manage the way in which it is perceived to be a monopoly. What I find interesting is that how did these companies manage their evolution from them being a startup to them being virtual monopolies? So like with a lot of other things, it is not necessarily a one road fits all perspective. So if I look at companies like Amazon or Apple, they have grown and they have changed or kind of evolved their vision or kept their vision loose enough for them to incorporate other product services and therefore brands into their original company's vision, mission, and the rest of it, and value system as well. So it means that there are advantages towards there being a singular brand that is known to the marketplace. So whenever I'm buying an Apple product, whether it's an iPhone or a Mac or whatever, I know the standards of quality. So my perceptions about an Apple product remain the way it is. Now imagine if Apple, for instance, became a holding company and it started a lot of fruits like banana, pineapple, etc. I'm being facetious, of course. But imagine if bananas were Mac bananas, right? And, iPhones were pineapple iPhones. It won't work because the associations of the brand are so strong and Apple can kind of connect to that value system that I have about a technological product like an iPhone to a technological product like a desktop or a laptop computer and so on and so forth. This is where Apple's advantage also becomes its disadvantage. Now let's compare and contrast this with, let's say, a Facebook. Now, if I look at an early interview of Mark Zuckerberg, Zuckerberg actually had envisaged Facebook as a company that was like a college directory meant for connecting colleges and their populations with each other. Now, of course, that has evolved into something tremendously different today. The Facebook that we see also has WhatsApp and Instagram, and therefore now today it is Meta, right? So Facebook has become Meta because Facebook not only is not a college directory in its Facebook avatar, but it has also bought and grown through stuff like Instagram and WhatsApp, and with the latest connect to Oculus Rift. Now, this is where the thing gets a little muddied because the name Meta suggests something else for Facebook as a holding company. I think this is intrinsically linked to vision and how that vision has evolved. So if I look at Alphabet today, Alphabet has Google and it also has Gmail and it also has YouTube and it also will have more products in the future. And therefore, what we are beginning to understand is Alphabet is a very interesting sort of decision that was taken in order for each of these brands to have their own sort of vision, which may or may not complement with the others. Now, if I look at Facebook and if I look at the change of name to Meta, you suddenly become aware of the fact that Meta is deeply connected to the metaverse, which is all about virtual reality, which is connected deeply to Oculus Rift, which was bought by Facebook a few years ago. Now, Oculus Rift ensures that all of us can put on a pair of glasses or a headset and get into a virtual world, and that is the vision that Zuckerberg sees today as opposed to the college directory vision that Zuckerberg saw a decade or so earlier. This difference in vision is reflected in the holding company structure. Now, this is a very different thing than, say, the WPP group, which holds a lot of competing ad agencies within its structure of a holding company. Now, over here, they want to make sure that the companies or the brands that they own within the WPP group, which can be competing ad agencies, can compete with each other and can actually fight against each other in the marketplace so that ultimate value is delivered to the shareholders. Now, I don't think that that is the exact same decision-making process that Zuckerberg and company actually went through when they changed their name. I think it was deeply connected to a change or evolution of the vision. If the evolution of the vision is connected to them understanding that all the current ways in which social communication is going to happen is going to dramatically change because of a change in technology, and therefore people are going to go into the virtual world and spend more time there. Yes, it is a scary thought, and yes, there can be a lot of connections to this scary thought. In fact, Elon Musk goes on to say that maybe we are living in a virtual reality right now and we don't know it, right? So besides all these metaphysical thoughts, the word meta actually is connected deeply to this vision of virtual reality. So Facebook, in a way, sees WhatsApp, Messenger, Instagram, and Facebook as products that are going to find competition in the future because of a change in technology. Now, that is a big difference in the way in which a WPP sees things, isn't it? And trust me, this is also different from the Alphabet thing. So if I look at the Alphabet thing, it is because self-driving cars have to have a different vision from, say, a Gmail, from a YouTube, from a Google search engine, will mean that a holding company like Alphabet actually makes sense, because the evolution of vision goes towards making different products which have got nothing to do with each other. So therefore, you need organizational structures to manage them differently. Facebook's is different. Facebook is different because Facebook became Meta because Meta sees a future that Facebook itself may or may not be a part of. Isn't that interesting? Now, is there something else that Zuckerberg could have done? Of course. I mean, if you look at Elon Musk and the way in which he started the Boring Company, the way in which he started Tesla, the way in which he started, SpaceX and every other venture that he's going to or will get into, the companies have been set up as separate companies from the very get-go. But for that, there is a very clear understanding in Elon Musk's mind as to the visions being completely different from the inception point. In Zuckerberg's case, I don't think that vision had that sort of clarity at the very beginning. So therefore, at some stage in time, probably he realized that Facebook cannot be a holding company because Facebook itself, the Facebook future itself is going to be very different and can be challenged by a complete changing trend. Now, some people do think that Meta is connected to a future so far away that it is not going to make any sense for it to be anything except a holding company in order to kind of avoid being broken up as a monopolistic thing for the next 10 years or something. And yes, sure, there is some credence to that theory as well, that conspiracy theory as well. However, I tend to believe in the evolutionary theory much more than the conspiracy theory. And I believe that there is some germ of a thought which Zuckerberg as a futurist is seeing now. A vision that he was not able to see, let's say 15 years back. And I think sometimes following Occam's razor, that's all there is to it. And I'm tending to kind of be on that side of the vision today. What do you think? And I hope you like this episode of Smarter with Sid. Of course, we will revisit this and see whether I was right or wrong, or whether my vision needs to be modified in order to actually understand what the hell is going on with Facebook becoming Meta. The idea is to be smarter by 1% by presenting different perspectives and views to you guys, and to figure out what you think and to become 1% smarter together, right? Because my belief is that truth is always relative to the reality that we live in. And if that 1% difference gives us an advantage, then we should be looking at that advantage and sharing it with like-minded souls. On that weird and happy note, I would like to say that, hey, do connect with me. I'm the Traveling Professor on Instagram and on LinkedIn. And I hope you had a great Diwali too. See you soon.
Hello, everybody. It's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Naan Curry, we broadcast our 50th episode. Sadaf and Archit invite one of the best food researchers in the country, Vikram Doctor. They discuss Indian street food, small town delicacies, and the history of our most common food habits. On Smarter with Sid, Siddharth explores how data can be woven into a story through artificial intelligence. On Tere Mere Raste, Kesho takes us to Dehradun, a city whose foundations were laid by a Sikh guru, and tells us how his famous basmati rice was introduced to it by an Afghan king living there in exile. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus is joined by former Indian cricketers and hosts of the Khel Niti podcast, Sabah Karim and Nikhil Chopra, to talk about tons and tons of cricket. Tune in for a very fun episode. And don't miss the festive season special on the Habit Coach podcast, where Ashton Doctor talks about how our eating habits change during festivals. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors on the network this week: Cred, Bank of Baroda, Quarter, CoinSwitch, Kuber, Slate Coffee, Intel, Kotak Mahindra Bank, and Oxfam India. Thank you so much for making this possible.
A wise man once said, traveling, it makes you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller.
Well, listen to such travel stories and experiences exploring India on the Musafir Stories with us, Saif and Faiza.
Catch us on the IVM website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.